Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
I think just like as a head coach, just like what I try to do every single day, I think if your quarterback, is authentically being himself and he's as talented as Kirk is and gains the respect of his teammates because they see how he works, they see how he prepares, they see all he wants to do deep down inside is win football games. I think my role as a coach and really as the offensive play caller and coaches just really try to connect with him so much that he's an extension of me and I can be an extension of him and I can learn kind of what makes him tick.
There he is, KOC. I believe that was from Colin Cowherd's Volume podcast network, I think, right, Dex?
Yes, correct.
KOC making all the big national podcasts like Colin Cowherd, Purple Daily, going on his tour around the biggest podcasts in the sports world. This is Purple Daily, daily Vikings entertainment, where we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. And both Judd and I have felt at various times this week like we're going to die. Judd with a massive incision on his side and abdomen due to emergency appendectomy surgery. I am on the loss of taste and smell portion of my COVID proceedings this week, which is very exciting. So cheers to Declan for keeping it healthy, at least for the most part, on the show.
Outside of bitchy neighbors about dogs barking, I've been doing pretty good this week, so I think I'm okay.
You got no problems. Don't tell me about your problems.
Okay.
We should cut that vein open later on the show here today.
Feedback Friday maybe, or sometime. Yes, I would love to voice what has happened here.
We should, because you got a note placed on your door for having a barking dog in an apartment complex. When I was just out of college, a roommate and I put a note on a neighbor's door for something else, and okay. I would love to talk about this with you.
Oh, I bet I know. I bet I figured that out quick.
So anyhow, we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die here. The show is presented in part by our friends at TCL. Redefine creativity with the TCL 30V 5G smartphone. Enjoy blazing fast 5G speed, an AI-powered 50-megapixel triple camera system.
Football.
Yeah. Football. Ultra-realistic, true-to-life visuals powered by Next Vision and booming sound from the dual speakers. Learn more at TCL.com. It's also still the summer of Surly, but we've transitioned almost into like the autumn of Surly, represented by the Before I Die can that you guys kept sending to us, Judd, during that first Vikings preseason game inside the stadium. That was pretty cool. Yes,
in fact, you can get, of course, it's the credo of the show, Before I Die. Well, it is now a beer. It's available at games at the stadium, and I believe it's going to be at least a limited release as well. I think it's going to be very popular because you can also sip on what we all want, which is a Viking Super Bowl before we die. And you know what? If that's not your choice, then perhaps the Furious is, perhaps the Logic Bomb is. Or how about this? Now available in the beer hall, gentlemen. In the beer hall. That is right. You can go in and you can get a Surly on tap that's not available and in liquor stores and take it home. And so we have Surly continues in the summer of Surly to service its customers like no other. Check them out, Surly Brewing.
All right, dudes. Let's get into it here. Every single week, we are the only show in America that actually keeps track of our predictions with statistics, putting our careers and reputations on the line. It's a segment we like to call Write That Down.
Most make predictions and then never admit they're wrong. Yeah, that's not Mackie and Judd. This is the place where we just totally own our horrible predictions.
Write this down.
And eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Write that down.
It's Write That Down.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
With Mackie and Judd.
And here's how it works. 3 Vikings or football-related predictions from everybody each week. They must be quantifiable in some form. Over on Mackie and Judd, the classic edition of Write That Down includes all different Minnesota sports and life predictions, not just dialed into football. So you can check that out too. We keep track of completion percentage and touchdowns on the show. And listeners, if you want to participate, like Stuart is about to, you can send us a message through the Score North app, free to download, central hub for everything we do. The season is upon us here, so a lot of things are going to start coming off the board at some point. Let's start with Judd. You had 2 things come off the board this week. You said there will be a story of Kyle Shanahan praising Kirk Cousins during the week of the 49ers-Vikings joint practice. I scoured the internet. I couldn't find anything. Now, I did find there's a great article in the Pioneer Press with Mike Shanahan talking about Kirk Cousins.
But not Kyle.
From like 9 years ago. But Kyle really didn't have anything written about him.
And Kyle was at the podium at least once here, and I stuck around to just sort of say, I wonder if he's going to say something about Kirk. My mistake was not asking the question myself to get him to praise Kirk, but that would have been a little bit hanky, I think.
No, I don't think so. I think it's all.
If I had said, well, you talk about your relationship with Kirk and how great Kirk.
Yeah, tee him up.
If you would have written the article, it wouldn't have counted. But if you asked the question, it led to someone else writing the article.
Anyway,
I think that's fair game.
I thought somebody else would, and I was wrong. So that is an incorrect prediction.
You also predicted earlier this offseason the Vikings will make at least one trade before week 1 for someone who was on a 53-man roster in 2021. Well, they brought in a backup quarterback that made this correct here for you, Nick Mullens.
Thank God. Nice move.
All right, I had a bad week here.
Go.
Really tough here.
Oh, Phil.
I said Greg Joseph will make at least a 50-yard field goal against the 49ers. Yeah, didn't even attempt one. I had some Sean Mannion positivity, which is the last time I will ever do that going into that preseason game. I said he'd throw at least 2 touchdown passes against the Niners. And then I was very high on Thomas Hennigan. I said he would have a 20-yard punt return or more at some point in the preseason game, and he will make the roster as a dark horse for week 1. So, Naga.
You really were high on him
here.
Not going to get those predictions.
Well, dude, but okay. He's probably still the most reliable punt returner. They still haven't found a guy that can catch punts.
You were high on him.
Is he?
Well, he's more reliable catching punts than Emir Smith-Marset.
Vikings don't think so.
Don't fight with a guy with COVID. He's feisty.
Yeah, COVID
I've
brain.
just got an incision in my stomach.
Oh, my gosh. All right, our guy Surly Dave. Now, this is, I think there's some maybe insider trading happening here, but
it's okay.
But you know what? We're going to give it to Dave. Surly Dave said, before I die, we'll return in some capacity at Vikings games. He may have had a little influence in making this happen.
You think there was some insider trading on this?
All right, and then Declan had a great week here. Declan, we'll start with the bad. You said Wangwu and Chandler will combine for at least 100 all-purpose yards against the Niners. That didn't happen, but you said the Niners and Vikings would go under 39.5. That Kellen Mond will start Saturday's preseason game. And that between whenever you made this prediction a few months ago and week 1, the Vikings will bring in, acquire, or sign another quarterback who has made at least 5 career NFL starts. And that is a touchdown, I think. Very specific.
Boom. Yeah.
I want to ask about one other thing that it's not on the screen here for you guys, but Declan had a prediction about the Before I Die beer.
I did.
I left it off of here because of semantics here for now, but maybe, Judd, maybe you can clarify this. So Declan's prediction was the Before I Die beer will return to the Surly Brew Hall or in liquor stores at some point during the season. Is it officially in the brew hall or liquor stores right now, or just in the stadium?
I think it's just in the stadium right now, but I think
I
think that ultimately will be correct.
Okay, so we'll just leave that one for now.
Yes, but I think he's going to be right.
But with my debacle this week and Declan's excellent week, he has retaken the completion percentage lead here going into the season. 36% completions and 8 touchdowns. I'm at 34%, 5 touchdowns. Judd's at 30%, 2 touchdowns. And listeners are at around 28% and 4 touchdowns. So we have a change at the top of the
I'm back.
Season leaderboard.
There's some
here.
competition for him. There's some good competition for him. I like where this is going as the opener approaches.
Yeah, and most of the predictions are going to be, this is where we really get into the meat of the season here, obviously. So, all right, let's get our guy in here. He is Stuart, and he is our guest listener predictor. Stuart, what's going on, man?
Not much. Just on my lunch break at work and ready to throw some bombs.
Love it, man. So are you actively hiding from bosses right now, or what's your status?
I'm just in the car on my lunch. So I am clocked out, so I'm not working on the clock. So if anybody's watching, so we're good.
Okay, good. When did you first become a Vikings fan?
Unfortunately, from birth, it's been engraved into me. I'm pretty sure my first words as a baby were probably Drew Pearson pushed off. So that was ingrained into me at a young age. My dad. So
it's been a long time for Stuart. So here's how this is going to work. We're going to go Stuart over to Judd, Declan, then me. 3 trips around the room. You are under center here, Stuart. So why don't you fire away first with your first prediction?
Write this down.
all right, I'm going for all touchdowns. So if they're not, just let me know. I'll try and switch it up. But first one, write this down. The Vikings will win 3 out of these 4 games. Green Bay week 1, Philadelphia, the Cowboys, and the Patriots.
Okay.
And so you're saying they'll go exactly 3-1 in those games?
So they'll win at least 3. So
Okay.
I mean, off the record, I think they're going to win all 4. But I don't want to get burned by that first one on Green Bay and they lose. So yeah,
All
at
right.
least 3.
Is that a touchdown for you guys? You guys good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yes. That's a tough gauntlet.
Sounds good. Yep. All right, Judd, over to you.
Write this down.
All right. Backup quarterback Nick Mullens will throw at least 1 touchdown pass for the Vikings in the regular season. So Nick Mullens is going to have to play. Maybe Kirk gets hurt. Maybe gets COVID. I don't know. But Nick Mullens will throw at least 1 touchdown pass for the Vikings in the regular season.
Okay. Kind of a parlay right there. I like it. So,
Write this down.
Declan.
I'll make a Nick Mullens prediction as well. I know he just got here, and the Vikings have 1 more preseason game against the Denver Broncos, I believe, this weekend. So I'll say this. Nick Mullens will get at least 10 snaps in this preseason finale. So they have 2 other quarterbacks in Mon and Mannion. I don't know what they're going to want to do with all 3 of them, but I'll say Mullens gets at least 10 snaps. 10
What'd you
snaps
say,
at
Judd?
quarterback.
Not watch them.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the status? Do we have any idea? I would think that he is likely to play some in this game, right? I mean, he's entering a
think so,
competition in the late stages.
But also I don't know how many you'll get, but I'll say at least 10 snaps. And knowing how I'll get burned, it'll be 9. So
I feel like you're trying for a check down here, and maybe the football gods will.
Well, Mon will start with a check down, but I mean, it's an effective one.
That's an effective check down.
Yeah.
We should create a new. Now, how about a new category? Effective check down, not just check downs.
Yeah, I mean,
effective check.
I think check downs are fine because they are. I mean, they're damn near sure points. I'm not going to
Write this
debate
down.
that.
I think check downs are cowardly, and
I know we do.
I refuse to be sucked into the check down.
Yeah,
game
until
here on Purple Daily.
you make check downs about things that we know nothing about, like soccer. Like when you pick 3 soccer juggernauts to win, and are
they
like
all lost.
and they all lost, but we got like 8 notes saying you guys are fools. Mackey pulled the wool over your eyes.
Listen, I just I had no idea they were favorites.
Yeah.
I was just making soccer predictions.
Yeah.
Okay. Write this down. It is on me, right?
Yep.
Okay. Write this down.
Write this down.
COVID brain fog here.
But you just wait; it gets worse.
Does it?
Oh yeah, I
never had the brain fog.
I did, and
Well.
I couldn't remember recent things, which has never been a problem.
Yeah. You
Like,
do
how
ask
long
about
did that
the-
last?
Yeah.
Months. Like I could always say, I could always tell you who the Wild played 2 weeks back or something, right? Until this, I couldn't remember.
I will say Judd asks
Sucked.
about the show schedule a lot more post-COVID. Like, what are we doing on Monday? Well, it's
Yep.
it's
No, it's true.
statements. So we'll do statements to start. What's
He's not-
Wednesday? Well, we got to
he's not
write that
wrong.
down. Yeah, Judd's right. Judd's right.
Really
on this.
looking
It
forward to that.
sucks.
I was on some Reddit threads asking, like, how long does it take to get your sense of taste and smell back? And like half the people were saying 8 months, a year.
Mine came
Like,
back right
seriously?
away. Some
God.
people's don't come back right away.
Really looking forward to that. All right, write this down. So one of my big pet peeves with Mike Zimmer, PJ Fleck does this all the time with the Gophers too, is the lack of respect they have for clock and game management in the second half, where they'll just like, oh, it's early in the third quarter and the play clock's winding down on a 3rd and 7. Timeout! They're gonna call a timeout. Kevin O'Connell actually has a guy on his staff that's in charge of standing next to him and providing him advice and feedback on game theory, clock management, etc., timeout preservation. So write this down. In the Week 1 game against the Packers,
Write this down.
Kevin O'Connell will preserve all 3 second-half timeouts for the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter.
That's good.
So he will not call a timeout until at least the 10-minute mark of the fourth quarter, because he will understand the importance of preserving those timeouts in what's likely to be a tough, close game against a division rival. Write it down.
Write this down.
Now, Kirk is going to be empowered to call timeouts too, so he needs to understand, dude, first of all, don't let the play clock run down, but you'd rather take a 5-yard penalty on some of those than burn a timeout. So, anyhow, all right, back to Stewart here. Your
Write
second
this
prediction.
down.
All right, I got a parlay. So the Vikings will win the NFC North. Their first playoff game will be a home game, so they're not gonna be a wild card, I guess. And then they will win that first playoff game. Write it down.
All right.
I think that would be a pretty successful season, right? If they did all those things.
That is a definite touchdown.
Yep, absolutely.
From
I
about
think that
35
probably,
yards out.
if that happens,
40 yards out. Yeah.
does that warrant another Kirk Cousins contract extension, or would they go into the last year of his guaranteed money? If they want a playoff game, I think we're probably talking about another year of ironclad money for old Kirky boy.
It might. I wouldn't dismiss it if they won a
Write
playoff
this
game.
down.
Yeah.
In year one with O'Connell, yeah, probably would.
All right, back to Judd.
All right. I'm going to scan the football globe today. So I started with Vikings, but I'm going to go outside now of the Vikings to the AFC. And you can write this down. Malik Willis will be the Titans' starting quarterback before the season is finished. Malik Willis will supplant Ryan Tannehill as the Titans' starting quarterback. You watch him play. There's some flaws there, but there's something there. And his style of play, and he's got the arm angle ability to make throws that is really impressive. I think that he is going to be a guy, if the Titans struggle at all, and Tannehill is, I mean, he's fine, but he popped up, 2 years ago and was fantastic, but he's really not a fantastic QB. I think Malik Willis could be a long-term guy, so he's going to start for the Titans before the end of the season.
I like where you're going.
Write this down.
I like where you're going here.
I like him.
All right, Declan.
All right, I'm going to stay in the same vein as Judd after talking about my favorite quarterback, Carson Wentz, yesterday on the podcast. So write this down. Washington will bench Carson Wentz for Taylor Heineke at some point this season. Wentz is going to play himself out of another job, and Taylor Heineke will take over.
I like it.
So write it down. Washington will bench Carson Wentz for Taylor Heineke at some point this season.
You know, I'm not the biggest Carson Wentz guy. He was actually pretty good until the last couple weeks where he melted down last year. He, the last 2 weeks, I'm just pulling this up here. He had that game at Jacksonville. Like he actually, it was kind of the last month he went rogue. But before then, Carson Wentz was like a top 10 QBR quarterback. The interceptions were way down. So if he can just not, he gets weird and just starts rapid firing interceptions and just making dumb plays and fumbling and stuff. But, that's kind of been the story of his career, right? 6 years of just up and down and volatile. So we'll see what happens there. And Taylor Heineke's not the greatest quarterback, but he just kind of feels like a guy that teammates rally around him, right?
He sticks around.
He's a foxhole guy.
He sticks his foot in windows, yeah.
Yes, exactly. All right, my second prediction here. Write this down. I'm gonna kind of piggyback off you guys and go with a landscape of quarterback competition here. So I believe there might be more than 2 quarterback battles that are still ongoing, but I'm going to give you the results of 2 of them. And I think because this is a parlay and these are 50-50s, I think this is a touchdown if it happens. Week 1 starter in Seattle, Geno Smith. Week 1 starter, Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett.
Yeah,
Write it
this is
down.
a touchdown. This is a touchdown.
Kenny Pickett and Geno Smith will start for the Steelers and the Seahawks in Week 1. I love Pete Carroll coming out yesterday, by the way, and saying, we've got 2 number 1 quarterbacks here. I don't know what we're going to do. We got Drew Lock and Geno Smith, just a couple number 1 guys. Okay.
I feel like Pete should have pieced out.
Why is he still there?
Yeah, I don't know.
You're out there. You tell us.
You know, it's funny. Like I
You live like right down the street.
I consume basically 0 Seattle sports content.
But just drive down the street, knock on the door, and say, "Can I speak to Pete, please?" Why are you still here?
I live 2 miles from the stadium, so I could probably just walk over there and see what happens. But
Write this down.
Amen.
anyhow, let's. I think we just lost Stuart's connection, so let's the 3 of us go through our final predictions here
All right.
After we shout out our friends at Underdog Fantasy Boys.
Yes, the best and easiest way to play fantasy sports. You can download the Underdog Fantasy app. They also have a great website, too, but I love the app. They have some great pick-em options. They have fantasy football options. They have drafts for all sports, too, not just football, but they have some PGA Tour, so they got the championship this weekend. If you want to make some bets on that, you can do that. And also working on some fantasy football drafts behind the scenes that we can do with you, the Score North listener. So if you have not joined Underdog Fantasy, download the Underdog Fantasy app, and then you can use promo code SCORE, SKOR, and they will double your first deposit up to $100. Yeah, they'll double your money up to $100. Download the Underdog Fantasy app, underdogfantasy.com.
Judd, also tell the audience, it was around this time last year that you started on your 40-pound weight loss journey. How can they do the same thing?
It's simple. You contact my friends, Livia Weight Control Centers. And notice I said weight control. I didn't say diet. This isn't a fad diet. This isn't a quick plan. This is weight control. This is about getting your weight in order and to a place where you're comfortable. And Livia helps you keep it there, too. I'm down, as Phil just said, 40 pounds, feeling great. Well, until I had my appendectomy, but that's beside the point. That has nothing to do with
now
their
you're down
plan.
60 pounds.
And
it's
yes,
crazy.
Yes, and Dawn looked at me and said, "Judd, you've lost so much weight. I'd like to lose some too." And now she's down 16 pounds. So the Zolgad household, it's called teamwork, down 50 plus pounds. So it's great to join with your partner. And right now, it's their anniversary sale where you can get on the program 50% off. That's right, 50% off. How? It's as easy as this. 855-GO-LIVEA, Livia, LIVEA.com to start your weight loss, fit into all those clothes, feel fantastic. And again, it's as easy as can be, and it's a program that I can personally tell you works. Livia.com.
And hello to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. Their corporate culture, which they apply to their relationships with businesses like yours potentially, is grounded in equity, integrity, teamwork, and respect. And these four cornerstones create the foundation for all of their interactions and decision-making. Find out how Federated can be a great offensive line for your business, offering up frontline risk management and protection. Federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours.
Write this down.
All right, back to Judd here, your third and final prediction. We'll see if we can't get Stewart back, we can have him send in his third prediction for the record, too.
Perfect.
Biggie.
All right, from the National Football League to Division I college football, which starts on Saturday.
Let's get it.
And a week from Thursday, the Gophers open against Jerry Kill and New Mexico State. And here is my write that down for that game. The Gophers will put up at least 45 points on Jerry Kill's team. No love lost here. PJ's vindictive. PJ doesn't like it.
They
Kill
hate each other.
Yes, and Kill has taken every... And look, I'm not even taking sides here, okay? But there's no question about it.
Jerry Kill needs to calm down.
Well,
right.
Jerry Kill has taken every opportunity to poke at Fleck. And I feel like Fleck hasn't really returned serve at all. But he can return serve on the field. And New Mexico State, which I think plays Nevada on Saturday, is going to come back shortly after that game and have to play again in a game that Jerry Kill has no interest in playing, but it's on the schedule. So at least 45 points, Declan, for the Gophers in that game.
Okay.
Dude, I think, listen.
It might be 50 off the record.
I row the boat just as aggressively as anyone does, okay? I love me some row the boat, Sky Yuma, go Gophers. PJ Fleck, there are some weird qualities about his personality. I don't necessarily think... Sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire. Like all these former players that are kind of coming out and complaining about the culture and stuff. Is some of that just guys that aren't good enough and they're complaining? Maybe is there maybe something a little fake and used car salesman about PJ's personality? Yeah, there's probably a gray area in there. But ultimately, he's been a damn good coach. They reached a new height a few years ago that they never reached before under any previous Gophers coach in like 40 years.
Right.
And every time, at every possible turn since Jerry Kill and the Gophers parted ways, he has sounded like the sour grapes guy.
Well,
he came on our show for like 40 minutes about 5 years ago and just like, he said, I'm never going to step foot on that campus ever again. It's like, really, dude? I mean, it's so tough. And I understand why the administration said, listen, like your health, like if you're not going to protect yourself from yourself, then like we can't have you run out there and have these health issues every week. So it's complicated, but the way that he has just kind of dogged the university and PJ Fleck, it's like, dude, just relax a little bit.
What gets me is he thought Tracy Claeys was going to get the job. Like that's what gets me. Dude, you don't, if you step down, that's cool. And to this day, I feel bad for the circumstances, but you don't get to then anoint the next coach.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not Nick Saban leaving Alabama here. Okay.
Exactly.
It was a good run, but you won 8 games once in a while.
Yep.
That's about it. So anyhow, all right, I think we got Stuart back here. So let's get
nice.
Stuart's third and final prediction.
Sorry, guys. I think the football gods didn't want me to make this prediction, but I don't think anybody has
you
made
will not
a,
be silenced.
You go.
No, I will not. I don't think you guys. You're not ready for this one, but I don't think you guys have had a Super Bowl prediction yet. But write this down: the Vikings will win the Super Bowl this year.
Like this year. Wow, dude. Wow.
This
There it
year.
is.
Whoa.
This is definitely
Well,
the first.
I
This is definitely the first. Yeah.
Whoa.
I almost didn't want to make my predictions because Judd, he kind of poured a little water on my purple Kool-Aid yesterday, or purple fire yesterday. So I was like, man, I don't know
That's
if I'm
what I
going to do it. He would think,
Hold on a second.
there wasn't. He didn't give me much confidence, but I decided to make him anyway. So going
here
for
you go.
bombs today.
Pour one out for you, baby. I'm pouring one out for you.
There it is. Yeah. Amazing.
Before I die.
Stuart, so yes, you are the first one to take that step here with that prediction. So you have claimed that piece of turf first here on Purple Daily. Since you've got this life-changing platform right now on Purple Daily, is there anyone in your life you'd like to thank that brought you to this pinnacle moment?
I guess I got to thank my wife first and foremost. She has to deal with me, not just the Vikings, with everybody, Twins, Wild, Wolves, even the Minnesota United. So, I mean, she puts up with a lot with me, and I'm thankful for it. My dad, raising me up to be a Minnesota sports fan, and you guys for putting out this content all the time. It gets me through my work day. I work 10-hour days, so it gets me through it. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Stuart, great stuff from you. Definitely get you on again sometime, and congratulations on staking your claim to the Super Bowl turf before anyone else here, all right?
Skol.
All right, there it is. Stuart making his presence known here on Write That Down. All right, Dex, what's your third and final prediction?
All right. Third and final prediction. Write this down. Sean Mannion will be picked up by an NFC North team at some point this season.
I love it.
Basically to be a little bit of a spy for Kevin O'Connell's new offense, I think is kind of my spirit of this. I was going to say it was going to be the Packers before week 1.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to schedule it out that either I want the Bears or Lions get him because I don't want to get burned if this doesn't happen. So Sean Mannion will be picked up by an NFC North team at some point this season.
I'm very proud of you,
great
sports son.
prediction,
This is an awesome prediction.
Yeah.
This is good. And I think you're right. Because I think the Packers, LaFleur knows what O'Connell does. So I don't know that.
And knows what like Kirk and stuff.
Yeah. So I don't know that he would do it. He still might. But like Dan Campbell for sure would.
So
know.
The Packers are interesting. So I don't know anything about their third string quarterback, Danny Etling, but I know that he's probably disposable. So
Are you gonna dump him in the river?
Disposable, yeah.
Etling's in the trunk. We got to get him out of here.
Disposable
I'll dig a grave.
quarterback
I've dug a
income.
grave before.
So do they? Maybe the Packers keep a third quarterback on the roster for week 1, and it's Sean Mannion, and he's being paid
Jacqueline,
for
this
1
is
week.
seriously one of the best ones. I love this
Thank
one.
you.
I could see Dan Campbell doing it.
could
What's
totally
the Chicago? I think if you're the Bears,
Eberflus.
Yep. I
think
could see him doing it.
It's more, but it's more advantageous for the Packers because the Bears are trying to win, kind of,
Right.
but not really. The Packers are trying to win a Super Bowl, and so any edge they can get on a division rival that has a new coaching staff and scheme and everything, they haven't seen any of this. The Vikings aren't giving them anything in the preseason. This could specifically happen for week 1 against Green Bay.
It could. But it does seem, this has Dan Campbell stamped on it. Tell me what you know, Sean. You got to give me every bleeping thing that you know. I got to know. We got to win here.
Down.
I love how you've now morphed Dan Campbell
He's
into
Tice.
Mike Tice,
He's
basically.
Tice.
Yeah.
He's Tice on steroids as far as coaching goes.
Well, but Tice was more gregarious and fun-loving. Dan Campbell is just serious all the time. I think Dan Campbell would wear on you after about 10 weeks. But
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely.
we'll see. Okay, my final prediction here. Write this down. So Austin Schlottman has been one of the fastest risers and most impressive players for the Vikings in these preseason games. PFF loved him last week.
No question.
Austin Schlottman will start at least one game at center for the Vikings before Week 10.
Okay.
So in the first 9, you can phrase it this way. Sometime in the first 9 games, Austin Schlottman will start a game at center for the Vikings, Dex.
Off the record of Bradbury
Write this
benching,
down.
or what's your gut tell you?
It's a good question.
I almost made a similar prediction.
I don't know. I think the odds would say that it's an injury or something. Like
Because
Bradbury,
Bradbury,
says, but-
he was essentially benched last year.
He was.
Well, he was injured and then benched.
He
right?
got COVID, right?
Yeah.
COVID,
I think
he got COVID.
he got COVID, sat out, and then was basically benched. So,
Yes.
Did he get COVID or was he a close contact or?
oh, I don't even know.
I don't remember, but
That's
But he was
question.
fine, and then
he was basically benched.
Yeah. And then what's his face? Mason Cole.
Mason
who might-
Storm, as we
Mason
call
Mason
him.
Storm,
Storm,
as I
who
call
might have
him.
gone to Pittsburgh. Something like that.
Yes, if you like.
Oh, and by the way,
obscure early
by
'90s
the
Steven
way,
Seagal movies. Yes.
I would like to confirm now, after being in a hospital bed for 2 or 3 days, the ability to actually engage in a chase with like trying to push yourself in a bed like Mason Storm did in Hard to Kill is impossible.
Did you ever sit there and think to yourself? And by the way, I'm trying to look at the pie chart of
Yes, I
Vikings
did.
fans that are listening to the show, and then like if there's a Venn diagram of people that are watching and listening to the show with
Yes.
people that have actually seen Hard to Kill from 1990 with Steven Seagal.
Yep.
A very small portion of you know what we're talking about here, but in that movie, Steven Seagal comes out of a 7-year coma and uses basically a broom handle to like maneuver his way around the hospital
Yes.
away from killers.
In the bed.
Did you ever
And-
think about that scenario when you were half drugged up? Like oh
4
my
times.
God, if killers come to get me.
When I was being pushed, I thought if we just were basically stormed by a group and I had to engage in a chase and I was at least given a broom handle, could I negotiate this bed around turns
Into an elevator?
Could I then push like floor 3? The answer was an unequivocal no. So I'm going to say I now call BS on Hard to Kill as a plausible plot.
Wow, this is big breaking news here. We should almost go back and read.
But I thought about it when I was being wheeled to the operating room. I thought, could I do this, like if healthy, like if I was just laid in this bed? And the answer was absolutely not.
That's amazing.
See, I'm always doing research for these shows.
Of course you are. Yes. You know, I'll bet you Declan could still find a way to get out of his hospital bed to play around at Meadows after having an emergency appendectomy.
Yes, thank God for the Meadows at Mystic Lake. We had those GPS-infused carts, so I know exactly what the yardage is. I don't have to worry about rolling down a hospital bed from the par 3. I just absolutely know from the white tees that, hey, it's 155. All right, Dex, grab out your little iron here, and let's see if you can put it on the ground and maybe not in the water.
155. Dex, grab out your driver. Let's see,
Yeah,
see what
seriously.
happens.
If it's downhill or uphill, I might be considering that option.
It's a guy who
you can
shoots
book your tee time.
95, clowning a guy who shoots 100 right
Yeah,
there. by
about
the
to
way,
say.
so.
And by the way, Judd, I want it on the record. When I was playing golf on Saturday, I was playing the best front 9 I've played in probably all season. And then I got that note from Phil that you were in the hospital, and my game went to bleep. My game went absolute to bleep. So you are mentally, I was thinking about you, and then it just spiraled my golf game.
Oh,
and if I was
no.
at Meadows at Mystic Lake, I don't think because of the scenic territory, it would have spiraled my game. Okay, book your tee time at golfthemeadows.com to learn more. Golfthemeadows.com. You can enjoy the last few weeks of summer golf and then fall golf, the best season there is. Golfthemeadows.com.
I'm sorry, Dex.
Yeah.
Not really sorry, but
No, you're not.
Weak-minded. All right, what are people saying about the Minnesota Vikings here? Our guy Tyler Fornes, friend of the show.
Yep.
He had this recap on Vikings Wire, the USA Today, the Vikings Wire section of USAtoday.com. Former NFL MVP thinks Kirk Cousins can throw for 5,000 yards this season. This is really interesting. So Rich, and I guess I could have grabbed it from the core article here, the 33rd Team, which is also the platform that Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman are producing content for now. But in a recent article for the 33rd team, former Vikings quarterback and NFL MVP Rich Gannon believes that Kirk Cousins, also a friend of the show, Rich Gannon used to be a regular guest on the old Mannion radio show. You guys are the best.
And in every interview he did in every market, you guys are the best.
Yep. He believes Cousins can not only have his best season ever, but throw for a career high in yards. Quote, look at the success that Stafford had in his first season, winning a Super Bowl with the Rams. In talking to O'Connell, he said Matthew took ownership of the offense. I think we're going to see that with Cousins. I think he can throw for 5,000 yards in his new offense, and I think O'Connell is going to take the training wheels off. Interesting comments from a former NFL MVP. What do you guys think about this? Do you think Rich Gannon is on to something here, that we're going to see career highs in some of these categories and some more ownership on behalf of Cousins of this offense?
Well, I think he's going to be given it. I guess my question is he going to take it? And here's why I say it's a question still. His responses so far have been very Kirk-like. Well, I mean, I've been in a lot of offenses. He hasn't, there's been nothing he's said that I think that he is like taking this thing by the horns and saying, this is mine.
A lot of I just want to find out what the coaches expect of me.
Exactly.
It's a lot of I am the puppet kind of.
I told Dex this in his list of most Dex excited seasons for the Vikings yesterday, Phil. He listed 2022 number 1, and I said, I caution you, I'm eager to. There's a lot of things that are going to change that I think is going to be fun to watch. But as far as my expectation excitement, it's really tempered because I don't know. Well, this is all assuming that O'Connell is going to be McVay to a certain point, or at least close, right? And then Cousins is going to be empowered and say, oh, hell yeah, I'm all in now. This is mine. And so it's a little bit difficult for me so far until I actually see it in play to say this. And to Gannon's point, though, I guess here's my comeback to that. I don't care about the stats. I care about the winning. So, because we know Kirk can have fantastic statistical years. He's had them before. His stats are great. If you just come into the room and throw his stats down, I'm like, oh, heck yeah, that's a good quarterback. So I'm not really hung up on Kirk's stats. I'm really hung up on, does Kirk run an offense and lead it? And that's a very important word. That is super efficient and leads to victories. And we can debate quarterback wins, but team wins. I mean, Kirk is the biggest part, certainly, of this team. He's the linchpin to wins. So statistically, I expect Kirk to be very good.
Yeah.
I almost don't care about the stats. I really care about the production of what does it mean as far as wins and losses.
Yeah, I think so. So he actually almost threw for 5,000 yards in 2016 with the Rams, or with the Commanders or the Redskins at the time.
Yep.
That was his second year as a starter there. The team went 8-7-1 that year. So just kind of that's kind of the story of his career, where he puts up 4,000, almost 5,000 yards, and the numbers look great, and he was a Pro Bowl guy, and completion percentage was almost 70%, but the team year after year wins 8 games or 9 games.
Right.
And so much like you, I think, yes, to some extent, quarterbacks are judged by their statistical output, and that will matter. And I think in general, the better stats you put up as a quarterback, the more it will generally help with your team having a chance to win. But there's also a bunch of hidden things in there. And those are the things that I am the most curious about with this team. So if he puts up 5,000 yards and they win 8 games again, well, now it's just the same formula that Kirk Cousins teams have had for now a 7th year or an 8th year or whatever. I think this will be his 8th year as a starter in the NFL. So yeah, 5,000 yards, awesome. And if he does that, it probably means the Vikings have a good team season. But he has put up big numbers before, and the team has not seen team success. So we'll see. I was just kind of going in deeper into these 2016 numbers too, and big first quarter numbers. But he's always been kind of a big first quarter, big third quarter, and then the numbers drop off in the second quarter, fourth quarter, right? Because those are the adjustment quarters. Those are the sort of on the fly. You got your pregame game plan, and then it starts to get more improvisational in the second quarter, and then you got your halftime adjustments, and then things get improvisational in the fourth quarter. And so I'd like to see that level out a little bit with those numbers this year. So anyhow, another thing under the what are people saying about the Vikings umbrella? So Rick Spielman putting out more selfie videos on TikTok. I see he's on Twitter now too. I just started following Rick Spielman on Twitter. And he did a great 2.5 minute video yesterday talking about the player that he most regrets cutting. And he said it was Daniel Carlson.
Yeah.
And he didn't throw anyone under the bus. He just kind of owned it and said, he missed 3 kicks, a couple overtime field goals against the Packers in week 2, and we cut him. We brought in a veteran in Dan Bailey.
Right.
And he said, and I think Daniel Carlson's going to go on to be one of the greatest kickers of all time. And he's already had great statistical output. But I love it. I love the ownership. He doesn't have to do a video for the public, embracing one of the worst decisions that he made as a GM. But Rick Spielman, great content on social media, great ownership.
Here's what I would have loved to hear. And this is where I think the story lies too. It's not cutting the kid, because the kid was a mess. It's drafting the kid in the first place for a coach who you knew. And we talked about this at the time, who you knew would hate him. Like, why did you came off of, you drafted Blair Walsh for the previous regime. And as Phil, you've said 1,000 times, the first year worked great, right? And Walsh slowly but surely came apart. And with Mike here, he completely unraveled, okay? So you're telling me that a few years after that, and taking a kicker in the draft is not like standard procedure a lot of times.
Yeah.
You're telling me a few years after that, you go to the SEC and do the exact same thing for the coach who Blair Walsh basically fell apart under? That's where I think there's a conversation. Like, that's what I would love to know. Like, how much were you guys at times not on the same page here? Because Carlson for the right team would have been a great pick.
Dude, this 33rd team platform, the concept of it is so great, right? It's kind of like the Players Tribune, but for NFL coaches and executives. Like, it's all these former, like Bill Parcells' name is attached to the 33rd team.
Yep, which is why Zim is, I'm sure.
You want to produce the most compelling possible piece of content? How about a back and forth sort of roundtable Q&A? And it can be in written form. I'd love to see it on camera. The falling out of a general manager and a coach, and talk it through. This platform is supposed to be, we're going to pull back the curtain on what it's like to be a coach and an executive in the NFL.
Yes.
You want to get real and raw. And it's been almost 9 months now since so I got to think that enough time has passed now where, okay, these guys they're both going to be fine. If they both want jobs at some point, they're going to get jobs. They're both multimillionaires. Right. Get Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman on that platform talking about what happened. Here's what it looks like when things go sideways within an organization. Wouldn't that be fascinating and compelling to watch or to read that?
Yes. Oh my God.
Maybe there's a moderator or something that can kind of tee him up and say, listen, let's just have an honest conversation. Where did it start to go south for you guys?
Right.
And have like a therapy session. God, I would pay to consume that content.
I would too. The problem there is in Mike's case then, and I would love this, but he would have to talk in depth about Kirk, which it's very clear he's trying publicly not to do, but I love the idea.
Rick
and my
too.
God, would I love to hear him talk about Kirk.
Rick has never gone that far too. Rick's done a ton of stuff. He's been doing national interviews and stuff, and he does not throw Kirk or Mike under the bus in any of these, directly anyways. And
I know for a fact that there are still people in this town who late at night will get a text from Mike about Kirk. So there's a lot there. He just ain't saying it publicly.
Yeah. Interesting. So, well, that's what people are saying about the Vikings here on this Write That Down Wednesday. Purple Daily Vikings Entertainment. Also, the regular season edition of Vikings Ventline is just around the corner. Declan's been holding it down with the off-season edition you can still find on Sundays. But the big production, the biggest show that we have is the post-game Vikings Ventline. If you are new to Purple Daily, or maybe you joined us in the off-season at some point, and you have yet to experience our post-game show, it's live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel right after each Vikings game is over. and we invite you guys, the listeners, onto the show with us. You drive the content of that show, and it has fast become, in the last few years, it used to be a radio product only on the old 1500 ESPN, but it has fast become the biggest community for Vikings fans post-game, and we're looking forward to yet another season of Ventline here on Purple Daily in just a couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. Mackie, Judd, Declan, we'll see you guys tomorrow on Purple Daily.